Good afternoon. Thank you for staying with NTV. My name is Gladys Gashanje and this is NTV at 1. Now, we are following up on a couple of stories for you. One of them being the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments is today vetting two nominees to the cabinet. Brenda Wanga is following up on the same. And of course, we have Silas Apollo, even as we keep an eye on the Nairobi County intrigues. Going back to that story on the nominations or appointees, and the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments is today vetting two nominees to the cabinet. The Health Ministry's nominee, Mutahi Kagwe, was the first one to face a committee where he laid out his vision for his new posting. He is ready to steer the ministry into the right direction, as he said, and seal loopholes for graft at the ministry. Betty Minor is also expected to face the same committee at the moment. If we can listen in to those proceedings.
How you can address the issue of the local manufacturers to make sure that their goods, their prices can be, they can make profits apart from the imports of the competition.
Okay, fine, thank you. I think on the first question around from Honorable Kajwan on apprenticeship, it is actually part of the law that manufacturers particularly contribute to the National Industrial Development Levy as part of labor development. I think it's long been argued that that should be mandatory for more sectors so that we are able to build up the pool of resources for training. Apprenticeship, and that's why we've gone into it, is really a critical part of labor development and people's own onboarding into the market. So I agree with you that we need to take steps to ensure that more people benefit from these apprenticeships. And then the second question around EPZs. EPZ is a location of privilege. It's a location where those who are located there actually benefit from a lot of incentives. And it was set up in order to spur our exports. And that's really meant to incentivize investors for exports. And the investors in EPZ are not foreign. I mean, there's no guarantee, there's no requirement that there must be foreign investors. Even Kenyan firms have set up within EPZ and are part and parcel of what I've just described as our export base. So I think anybody who comes into either an SEZ or an EPZ is coming into a fairly defined incentives are not cash strapped as a result of withheld payments by government. And we've been working, and we continue to work with the Revenue Authority and with the National Treasury.
That is Betty Minor, former PS Environment, who is on the hot seat, even as the Assembly's Committee on Appointments is grilling both her, and earlier on it was Mutahi Kagwe who has been nominated to the health docket. And for now, Betty Minor is taking questions on small and medium enterprises, clearing of pending bills, support for manufacturing sector, among other agendas that fall mainly in the business world. Well, a lot more coming from that sitting, even as Brenda Wanga follows up on the same. Now over to something that is currently happening. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is currently chairing a meeting between the Council of Governors and the National Development Implementation and Communication Cabinet Committee at the Kenya School of Government here in Nairobi. The meeting seeks to address some of the issues that have been bedeviling devolution since 2013. For more information, we are now joined by Vincent Tudor, who is at the Kenya School of Government. What more can you tell us?
Absolutely. The meeting has brought together a number of governors led by the chairman of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Oparanya, and also members of the National Development, Implementation and Communication cabinet committee led by Interior CS Fred Matiang'i. And since morning, the meeting currently is still ongoing. It started at 9:30, and I've seen a number of cabinet secretaries attending the meeting, including Foreign Affairs CS Resho Mamo, Land CS Farida Karone. I also saw Najib Balala, and also a number of them who are here attending this meeting. And the agenda of the meeting is basically to look at the issues that have been affecting devolution since 2013, and it is geared towards having a common agenda for the governors and the national government a day before they meet President Uhuru Kenyatta, because remember, COG and governors will be meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta tomorrow, and therefore they want to come up with one agenda which they can present before the president as the meeting it's held tomorrow. But also a number of issues, and we know some things, part of the things that will form agenda in this meeting, which is currently going on, issues to do with some of the functions that were devolved to county government, and the resources were not also devolved, and that has been a big issue with county governments. They want the government also to devolve resources to these devolved function. Another thing is things to do with the delay in disbursement of allocation to the counties, and also the actual amount that is supposed to be devolved to the counties, and also these allocation that is being allocated to the counties, should it be based on which last audited accounts for which financial years? And these are some of the things. And also another thing that, as we know, they are going to talk about and have a common position on is the issue to do with the pending bills, because it has been a very big problem, and a number of counties have not yet completed or paid off their pending bills. And this is something President Uhuru Kenyatta has been very tough on, requiring them to also complete these pending bills. Other issue, things to do with national projects that are basically in county governments, because governors are saying it is high time that these county governments also benefit from national projects that are in their counties, and therefore it will not be okay for the national government to take all the resources from such projects. And therefore these are a number of issues that the governors really want to come up with a common agenda on, and also to decide on the way forward on what they will present before the BBI task force as the validation engagement forum continues, so that as governors they will have a common agenda to be presented on the BBI report as the validation engagement continues across the country. And therefore we are still here, and we've been informed by the chairman that the moment when the meeting will over, they will come up with a resolution which they will inform us on the way forward and what has transpired and what they've settled on in this meeting. For now, I'm taking you back to studio.
Thank you, Vincent Odor, coming to us from the Kenya School of Government here in Nairobi, and looking forward to those resolutions, even as the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Fred Matiang'i, is currently chairing a meeting between the Council of Governors and the National Development, Implementation and Communication Cabinet Committee. And of course, this is all matters devolution. Now, a showdown looms in Nairobi City County over plans by a number of MCAs to impeach Governor Mike Sonko, despite an opposition from some of their colleagues. Already some MCAs have begun the process of collecting signatures to oust Sonko, a move they say is aimed at addressing the leadership crisis facing the county. But these plans faced their first hurdles on Wednesday after a meeting convened in the House was hit by a quorum hitch. We are now joined by our reporter Silas Opolo, who is at City Hall with the latest. Silas, the chaos at the county is something that may not end anytime soon. Just what are the issues currently?
Yes, Gladys, rightly as you said it, this chaos began sometimes in 2018 after then Deputy Governor Polycarp Igathe parted ways with Governor Mike Sonko. After that, there's been a lot of chaos in the city county, essentially on the appointment of a Deputy Governor to replace Polycarp Igathe, who had resigned, saying that he had irreconcilable differences with his boss, Governor Mike Sonko. After that, there had been a lot of back and forth in terms of when would Sonko nominate a Deputy Governor. That has been an issue. He made promises promises. Most of the promises were broken. He never fulfilled the promises. He even went to the National Assembly before a committee and promised that he was waiting an advisory from the Supreme Court on how the appointment would be made. An advisory was given there, but still there was no appointment that was forthcoming from Governor Mike Sonko. Of course, this moved fast forward into the case that now he was facing at the court, where he was charged in court last year over corruption allegation questions. And that then opened the Pandora box in terms of who then would sit in the place of Governor Mike Sonko, who the court said should be barred from office, should not assume responsibilities of Governor of Nairobi County, and should not carry out official functions. Now, Mike Sonko went ahead and nominated Anne Mwendo, who was supposed to be vetted to become the deputy governor. But that also was an issue in the with the number of members of county assembly. Most of them arguing that Sonko, in his position, of course, having been barred from office, could not take up the responsibility of nominating a deputy governor. Members of the ODM party, or MCAs in the county minority party, argued that they were not going to endorse that nomination by Mike Sonko. Their colleagues from the Jubilee side, however, said that Sonko, given the fact that he's the deputy governor, is allowed to nominate, is the governor, is allowed to nominate someone who can sit in his place. Speaker Beatrice Elachi then went and nominated, of course, proposed with the endorsement of members, the revival of the Nairobi Regeneration Committee that then would oversee a running of the affairs and development in Nairobi County, because the argument then was that services was being stalled in the city county. Residents are not receiving the services that they are supposed to be receiving. There will be a lot of chaos also in the county government. So a lot of back and forth has been there. Of course, right now what is happening is that a number of members of county assemblies are proposing the impeachment of Governor Sonko. They are saying that he's become inept, he's become rowdy. There are a lot of disorderliness in the city county. Members of county executive are being sacked left, right, and center. Some of them are being suspended without reasons given to them. Of course, also without notice being given to them as required by the law. Remember, Beatrice Elachi had asked those who had been suspended to resume duty, saying that some of these suspensions had been done unlawfully. So the battle right now is on whether Governor Mike Sonko should be impeached or not. Members of the county assembly, especially those from the ODM side, have vowed that they are going to impeach him. But also there's another development that has come up in terms of the direction from the party leadership. We had a letter written by the ODM Nairobi County Chairman George Aladwa, who had asked members of county assembly not to endorse a proposal to, of course, a proposal to oust Sonko from office. But then that letter was later contradicted by the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who said that the county members of county assembly are at will, they are at liberty to execute their mandates as had been given to them by residents of Nairobi County who voted them into office. So there's been a lot of back and forth. Yesterday there was supposed to be a meeting where it was hinted that the impeachment process would proceed, but that did not happen, of course, because the argument that a number of MCAs had been called into a meeting by Governor Mike Sonko at his private office in Upper Hill. So that did not take place. So we're waiting to see the development today, probably in the afternoon, what exactly is going to happen. Are they going to have a sitting? If they will have a sitting, with the bid to oust Sonko from office come up, if that comes up, then what are going to be the procedures? So we'll be keeping tabs just to let you know what happens. But for now, I'll hand you back to studio. Gladys.
Silas Apollo definitely coming to us from County Hall, and the intrigues of Nairobi County continue, and we're keeping an eye on the same. Now to matters security, and the government has issued a directive that all buses plying northeastern routes must be escorted by police, failure to which the buses will not be allowed to operate. The Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nick Ndalana says the frequency with which the buses are being attacked and lives lost has necessitated the directive in order to ensure the travelers arrive at their destination safely. He also warned that bus owners who will fail to adhere to this directive will have their operating licenses revoked. A 6 p.m. curfew has also been imposed on all Boda Boda operators across the northeastern region.
Oh, you're waiting for some more?
Elsewhere, 7 suspected robbers were last night gunned down by officers from Special Unit in Isinya, Kajiado County. The 7 using a saloon car are said to have been trailed by police officers from Nairobi, and they were cornered along the Isinya-Kiserian Road. According to Kajiado County Commander Beatrice Gashago, the male suspects had been on police radar as they were part of a gang which had been terrorizing the residents in different parts of Nairobi. It is reported the suspects had opened fire when they they were flagged down by police officers. Authorities retrieved an AK-47 rifle with 3 rounds of ammunition, 2 police jackets and 2 walkie-talkies. The bodies have been moved to the city mortuary. To Nyeri County, and the latest there is that it has been invaded by desert locusts, bringing the total number of affected counties to 18. And while farmers have raised concern over the efficacy of the controlled drugs, the Entomological Society of Kenya has maintained that the pesticides are effective in eliminating the insects. The bigger challenge, however, is to monitor the breeding grounds so as to eliminate the nymphs when they emerge.
The country is facing a challenging time ahead as it grapples with ways of dealing with the desert locust invasion that has now hit coffee farms in Nyeri County.
Tunaona ni hasara kubwa sana kama ni masaa 6 hivi na wamefanya hiyo hasara. Tunaona kama wataendelea wakizidi kukaa hapa kwa masaa zingine 2 takuwa na hasara kubwa sana.
Insect scientists say they have already received training on how to deal with the pests and that control efforts are working in many parts.
More than 50 swarms have been killed. Unfortunately, more are coming in. So if in an area we get a swarm and the swarm does not stay in an area for long, it will eat for a short time and then go. Another swarm can come and the farmers might interpret this new swarm as the old one.
According to a prediction by IGAD, the East African countries should brace themselves for a worst invasion of locusts in the next month, as the long rain seasons will provide a suitable breeding ground for the insects.
Our worry is that there are so many females in that area and we may have so many nymphs emerging from one breeding habitat.
Some of the challenges that the government has experienced in handling the pests are insecurity in some of the regions such as the Suguta Valley and the rugged terrain in other regions that make communication impossible. Insect scientists, however, warn the farmers against chasing away the pests.
When you disturb them, they will move from this breeding habitat and look for another breeding habitat where they are going to lay eggs. And that is not a good management practice. Please leave the yellow ones wherever they are so that they finish laying their eggs there. In terms of management, when you are spraying only one area.
The predictions by IGAD's Climate Center indicate that if the situation is not handled within the region, these unpredictable insects could invade key production areas and cause significant crop losses during the March to May cropping season. Ruth Sanway, NTV.
On that note, we take a short break on NTV at 1. We'll be back with much more. Stay with us.
Inakwambia bibi kuna mdenge fulani bibi hapo na nywele refu yani. Kuna ngoko fulani bibi amechali yake hadi Sio ndio madonna na kutupinya mtu mbao. Mimi nimemjenga dhao gari ilikuwa salasa akaniambia nimjenge 70 na batina that yangu.
The way this position is tiring. Nimechoka.
Who's that? Ni shosho fulani hapa hivi.
Ati shosho.
Call for long at 1 shilling 50 cents to all networks.
By the way,
Cartelo.
Dial star 544 hash to subscribe. Telkom, moving with you.
And this is how it connects us.
At APSA, we believe in working with you to find a way to get things done. We call this Africanacity.
New Blue Band peanut butter. Made with 100% pure peanuts. And a good source of omega-6. Grow healthy and happy kids with New Blue Band peanut butter.
hanging out. It's my summer, got my squad. We go harder, we got a little bit of feel good now. It's my all I wanna do, all I wanna do. I tell you 'cause it's true. All I wanna, let's have a little bit of feel good now. Be myself, that's my secret. Stop and chill, best believe it. This is the weekend, so we're getting down. Let's have a little bit of flavor.
Building tips for high-rise buildings should be bought from reliable sources. Strength of the cement must be a minimum of 42.5. Sufficient curing time with constant pouring of water. Must be KEB certified. Exactly 50 kilograms guaranteed in each bag.
Adding strength to Kenya's landmarks. Power for specialized constructions. Cementing the nation's future. Simba Cement, the strength and pride of Kenya.
Now also produced in Nakuru and Mombasa.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
At some point, I got into serious negotiations and arguments with God. Are you punishing me?
I couldn't cry before my wife, but there are many times I would wake up at 5 to prepare to go to work and cry in the sitting room.
The caregiver tends to isolate themselves from hobbies.
Compassion fatigue takes a long time to recover from.
If you haven't really been through what I've been through, what gives you the moral authority to tell me or speak to me?
If you were to walk into a hospital, for example, you have a stomach upset, you wouldn't want to ask, I want the doctor who's had a stomach upset lately so that they can treat, you know?
Fair enough.
Imagine a cab that's always on time. Imagine experiencing luxury and class at no extra cost. Introducing the new Prepare Taxi hailing app. Download the app today and experience love at first ride.
Thank you for staying with NTV. And we shift matters to education, and education stakeholders are holding a crisis meeting in Mandera County to address the shortage of teachers after the TSC withdrew all non-local teachers over their safety concerns. Ahmed Maulid is attending our meeting and now gives us a brief of what to expect from that meeting. Ahmed?
Thank you, Gladys. We are joining the broadcast live from Mandera, where I'm standing here. Education forum to address the issue of the teachers' crisis in Mandera County is underway here at this particular hotel. This is Granada, and host of leaders, that is the present, the past and the present leaders, including and the Mandera Governor Ali Ibrahim Roba is the one taking the role here. They are on mission to find a homegrown solution to address this teaching crisis once for all. They are bringing stakeholders, that is educationists, and both the leaders, the school heads, TSC, Education, and the Ministry of Education are all present to find a homegrown solution, because if you remember the last 1 week, more than 1,019 local teachers have left here in Mandera County. The schools have been deserted. The teaching already is in quagmire. Many students are not attending their classes because majority of non-locals who make the bulk percentage of the teaching fraternity here in Mandera County have all gone. On this particular, in the next maybe 1 or 2 hours to come, they will be finding a permanent solution to address this issue. Several recommendations have been said by both the leaders and the educationists here in Mandera County. All the elected leaders have promised to use the CDF money to sponsor all students willing to study and teaching courses in different colleges in the county, and that for free. That is one of the recommendations that have been raised. But here today, in the next, as I said, in the next one hour or so, they will be having having press here too, and we'll hear what they say about the recommendation they present to the media. We'll be updating you as the event unfolds here in Mandera County. Gladys.
Thank you, Ahmed Maulid, speaking to us from Mandera County, where there is a crisis meeting following TSC withdrawing all non-local teachers in that area. And it will be interesting to hear what resolutions will be coming out of that sitting. Now, the European Union says it is now working directly with individual county governments to realize growth instead of going through the national government. Speaking on the sidelines of a 3-day tour of Meru County, the European ambassador to Kenya, Simon Modio, said the 27-member union was keen on directly involving counties as units of development as it targets agriculture and infrastructure. The delegation, the largest to visit a county, comprises of 9 ambassadors who have pledged 5 billion shillings towards agriculture-related activities in the 47 counties, with 8 selected counties being pioneers.
What we're wanting to do during this visit is identify areas where perhaps some of our bilateral cooperation can support Meru. Now, one of the things I was very keen when I came in December, and I remember making this point explicitly, was to draw attention to some of the businesses in Meru of a big agricultural program called Agrify that we had the call for proposals open. And I think one of the things that will give me most pleasure is tomorrow to actually go and visit 2 successful projects that have been retained in County Meru under the Agrify programme. So that's a concrete example, if you like, of why such visits are important. The dialogue's important. It's about raising awareness of opportunities.
We are trying to see from our various pillars, both social and economic, what other flagship projects we can work with them to implement, both in areas of agriculture, tourism, infrastructure and social development.
Elsewhere, empowering women has been cited as a critical component in the quest to electrify rural areas in Kenya. The solar sector aims to penetrate off-grid rural areas through the Brighter Lives initiative, which employs women to spearhead solar technologies awareness and installations whilst affronting equality and uplifting women. In a move supported by the British High Commissioner Jane Marriott, many of the women in the value chain work as technicians and sales agents whilst benefiting from solar equipment that light their homes and provide them with income. Time for the sporting action, and Brian Otwal is in studio.
Thank you so much, Gladys. And we start from Senegal, where the former African Boxing Union, that is the middleweight professional champion, Rayton Okwiri, will be the first Kenyan this afternoon to take to the ring against El Magaspi Salem of Libya in the 5th bout of the day at the African Olympic qualifiers in Dakar, Senegal. Kenya will be hoping to qualify as many boxers as possible for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, better than the 3 who represented Kenya at the Rio Olympics. Kenya's hit squad of 13 boxers will battle for the 37 slots in the different categories, with Africa having 3 slots in 8 weight categories, apart from super heavy and heavyweight. The Kenyan boxing contingent also has 2014 Commonwealth Games lightweight bronze medalist Nick Okoth, African Games flyweight silver medalist Shafi Bakari, as well as African Games heavyweight bronze medalist Eli Ajowi. Kenya was only represented by 3 boxers, Benson Gisharu, Rayton Okwiri and Peter Mungai at the 2016 Rio Olympics. And Oscar Ouma and Sami Oliet will make their World 7 Series seasonal debut after being named in the Kenya 7 squad for the Los Angeles and Vancouver 7s legs. The duo are joined by Jacob Oje, Dan Sikuta and Oscar Dennis, who return from the rest and injury respectively. The 5 players replaced Johnston Olindi, Bush Mwale, Jeffrey Okwach, Haman Humwa and Nelson Oyo. Kenya is pooled with South Africa, Ireland and Canada in the Los Angeles Sevens, which will be held on the 1st and 2nd of March.
There's a bit of rotation
and it's all about being fair and giving people opportunity to show what they can do before we start firming up on who we believe the top 13 are. So, for example, Nelson's been to, he's played 4 tournaments and OJ's only played 2. So, you know, I want to give OJ that opportunity. It's got nothing to do with form from Nelson's perspective. And then I'm looking at Jeff Aluch on the wing. So that's why I'm taking those 2 this time. And we're looking at Vincent on yellow at centre. Plays centre in the 15s. Very quick and tall, gives us opportunity to possibly have more jumpers at the kick-off situation, something which we've been working on. So we're going to experiment with on yellow playing centre along with Billy.
And the Sports Dispute Tribunal, SDT, has postponed the hearing of a petition involving the Football Kenya Federation to Tuesday next week. This comes as FKF is seeking orders compelling the sports registrar to allow the federation carry out elections scheduled for next month. FKF also intends to conduct its polls at the county and national level using its own constitution other than the Sports Act. But the SDT ruled that the FKF be allowed to respond to affidavits filed by interested parties. These parties include Bondeni and Cheptiret football clubs from Uasin Gishu County and former sports journalist Milton Nyakundi, among others. And it remains a bad week for the English sides in the UEFA Champions League as Tottenham Hotspurs fell 1-0 at home against RB Leipzig, just a day after Liverpool also lost to Atletico Madrid. Atalanta thumped Valencia 4-1 in the first leg of the round of